You finally found a business that looks solid. Margins are good. Customers are loyal. You like the team. The numbers pencil out. Then the seller drops this line. Oh, and I'm pulling out all the working capital before I close. Let me tell you what that really means. That's like selling you a body, then draining the blood before you take it home. Today, I'm telling you exactly why that's a problem and what to say, how to push back, and how to actually understand working capital so you don't get taken. Hi, I'm John Stoddard. I help first time buyers close on $1 million businesses. I've raised over $50 million and I've coached buyers through real deals, deals that close, deals that fail, and everything in between. And I'm telling you right now, letting a seller strip out the working capital is one of the most overlooked, expensive mistakes buyers make. Let's be clear on this. Working capital is not a bonus. It's what keeps the machine alive. You've got payroll to cover, inventory to restock, bills to pay, customers expecting service before they pay. If you walk into a deal with zero working capital, you're already behind. You're buying a business that can't run on day one without additional capital. And that capital, you're like borrowing it. Let's run some numbers here. Say you're buying a business for $1.2 million. It needs $500K in working capital because that's what's been in the system keeping it going. If the seller pulls out that $500K, guess who's got to replace it? That's you. Maybe you borrow it, 10%, 10-year loan. That's monthly payments of $6,600. Total payment over 10 years, $792,000. Total interest, $292K. That's almost $300,000 extra just to put blood back in the body. And worse, now you're paying interest on capital that should have been in the deal in the first place. This is how deals become bad ones fast. Here's where it gets a little bit deeper on working capital. The working capital needs are not the same for every business. Let me show you. Like e-commerce, I've owned an e-commerce company. You're fronting cash for inventory before a single sale happens. You need working capital up front to even play in the game. SaaS businesses, totally opposite. Cash comes in before you deliver long-term value. Working capital needs are way lower. What about HVAC? Really popular now. Seasonal swings. In summer, you might have a 60-day wait for parts and pack to install schedule. In winter, flat. Manufacturing. Heavy working capital. Long lead times. Raw materials, labor, shipping. You're often paying months before you get paid. What about service businesses? Yeah, that depends. Is it B2B or B2C? Are customers prepaying or are you chasing invoices? Here's the kicker. Some sellers will argue, well, our AR and inventory fluctuate, so there's nothing to guarantee. That's true, but your job is to study historical cycles and negotiate a normal level of working capital to be left in the business at closing date. And if it's a seasonal, you got to adjust accordingly. You want to inherit a business that functions, not a skeleton. So here's how to handle this like a pro. Say this to the seller. If I have to borrow $500K just to keep the business functional, then we're not talking about the same deal anymore. Either the price comes down or the capital stays in. That one line reframes the whole negotiation. Because the truth is, you're not buying what the business used to be. You're buying what it is on day one. And if day one has zero cash to operate, you've got a problem, not a business. So here's how to avoid that conversation and bulletproof the deal. Put this clause in your LOI. The business will include normal and sufficient level of working capital consistent with historical operations as of closing date. Simple, clear, gives you leverage and diligence. And if the seller refuses, that's a red flag. They either don't understand their own business or they're trying to squeeze you. Either way, you need to walk. That's your best leverage. Oh, here's another critical point. Most SBA lenders expect working capital to stay in the business. They're not underwriting a business that functions, not one that's crippled on day one. I've seen banks pull term sheets because the seller tried to zero out the AR and inventory right before close. Don't assume lenders will catch this. You need to know the normal working capital requirements based on 12 to 24 months of history. Ask for AR aging reports, inventory reports, monthly balance sheets, seasonal trends. Map that out. Know what's needed seasonally and negotiate accordingly. Let me tell you what happens if you don't handle this beforehand. You close 30 days in, you're tight on cash, and you put all your chips in. You're scrambling to make payroll, you're maxing out your credit line, you're watching a good business turn into a daily panic attack. And all of it is completely avoidable. That's why I'm making this video, because working capital mistakes don't show up on the teaser. They show up after the wire hits. And by that time, you're stuck. Final word on this. Working capital isn't just some accounting line item. It's like the oxygen of the business. You got to protect it. You got to understand it. You got to negotiate it. Because if you don't, you're not just paying more. You're risking the entire deal. Do you want to avoid mistakes like this? Grab my book, How to Buy $1 Million Business, in the link below. It's no BS, no theory. It's the real playbook my students have used to close on $33 million in deals. And if you're serious about buying a business, start with this. I'm John Stoddard, and I'll see you on the next one.